Men movement, I'm sure. He's making quite a reputation for himself, and I'm sure 20 minutes on he'll have an even bigger reputation. Welcome to the stage.
Thank you.
How should I pronounce it?
Cephas.
Cephas.
Yeah.
Oh, I was nearly there. Cephas. Yeah, well, thank you.
Cool. Yeah, man. I wanted to ask a question actually. Can I ask a question? Because I kind of had my hand up, but I didn't get to Lydia. Yeah. Speech was sick. You're a legend. Do you know what I mean? For you to come up and do that, do you know what I'm saying? Big up yourself.
Thank you.
I wanted to ask a question, and it might come across like a challenge, but it's not. I hope that, I guess, from the answer we can unlock some further learnings for the room. So you said in your presentation that you're not a big fan of the word BAME.
No.
And we deep that, and you know, I respect that. But you use BAME statistics within your presentation. Can you just answer why?
That's a really good question.
I'm genuinely interested, but
I know. Actually, definitely number one, buy the report. Okay, everybody buy the report. Okay, because I see all your faces. Plug. But no, actually, because that's the current language being used at the moment. But you'll see that in the report, I've spoken about BAME and the use of the language BAME, and I've put an argument against it.
Right,
so in the research is there because that's a current language that's been recognised at the moment. But that's a really good question.
Or what's available, or as well? Or?
All that's available at the moment, because there's still work around changing that conversation, because in America they're already identifying with multiculturalism.
Yeah.
They understand it more, and we need to get that over here.
Yeah, okay, cool. It's an interesting one to me, because I don't really subscribe to the notion either.
Yeah.
And so I'm the founder of 56 Black Men, and it'd been really funny of me to call it 56 BAME Men, and I don't feel like, it would have got the same type of traction and would have achieved the same message. I'm conscious we've all been sitting down for a minute as well, so I want to take us through a quick exercise. You'll just stand up for me for about a minute, and with the person next to you, just kind of speak about one or two things that stood out from either Lydia's presentation or the lady that presented before. So what was your name? Shazia. Just one or two things that stood out to you. You've got 1 minute, I'm going to time you, go. Good job. You have 35 seconds. 30 seconds. Can I just get the volume on my mic raised just slightly, please? 20 seconds. 10 seconds. 3, 2, 1, stop. All right, that's it. Can I get some volume on my mic at the back, please? Thanks. Hello, 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 hello. You're eating into my time now. All right, cool. Now, it's always good to just kind of, in between some presentations, have a recap, because you don't often get to do that. And can I just get a bit more volume or gain, just so I can hear myself a bit more, because I feel really faint on the stage, if you can, if it won't cause any feedback. Is that all right? Cool. So my name's Cephas Williams. I'm the founder of 56 Black Men. Here's an image, if you haven't seen it already. Just by a show of hands, who has come across the campaign before? Okay, who hasn't? Wicked. So this is one of the images. And I say here, by the end of my presentation, I will have shown you the single most greatest killer of black men, and it won't be a knife, neither will it be violence. And I've titled this Diversity of Thought in the Media Industry. And it's interesting because from the two presentations before me, Steve, you really lined it up really well. There's some really overlapping synergies through my presentation and theirs. You speaking about the brain and your conversations around the black community. And, you know, thanks for inviting me, Steve. Big up, Steve. And thanks, MediaTel, for having me. So I'll say here, considering the colour of one's skin or our skin and the various ethnicities we have in the world. In your head, answer the following 5 questions. Whose brain is this? Who is the most intelligent person in these 6 images? Would you employ this kid? And I say here, if the colour of one's skin or their ethnicity is not a barrier with regards to progression in the workplace in 2020, then why do most company board websites look like this? And why do our boardrooms look like this? And sometimes we can get so caught up on amplified ideas and amplified existing data surrounding particular groups of people that we forget to authentically engage that group of people in the process. Are you guys with me so far? Okay, you guys are going to need to give me some more life. I've just come back from Manchester. I had a keynote yesterday, a keynote this morning. I was sleeping on the train, my mouth wide open to make this event. So you man are going to give me life. Are you with me so far? Yes! Wicked. And so again, would you employ this kid? And here are a few examples where not having employed this kid or not having the right representation in the room led to backlash on content. And who's familiar with this fiasco that came up, the old chicken box, you know, in the knife crime piece trick, you know, and similar to the watermelon and the, no, I'm joking. But it's that racial profiling and kind of putting an issue that has been amplified as a black on black issue in association with chicken, and the black community in the UK responded in kind. And people added me and tagged me in this, and the Home Office spent, you know, thousands of pounds to like, roll out chicken boxes to solve knife crime. And you can imagine how, you know, how stupid that looked. Who's familiar with this campaign? Cool. I will try to explain it, but I don't understand what they were trying to achieve here. You know, but this came out along the times when the Black Lives Matter movement was rife. You know what I mean? And there was a very iconic image that I'll get onto that mirrored this image of Kendall Jenner giving a policeman a Pepsi bottle to solve problems. And here's a tweet that says, "The Kendall Jenner Pepsi fiasco is a perfect example of what happens when there are no black people in the room when decisions are being made." Here's another tweet. "The worst part of the Pepsi commercial is when Kendall decides to protest racism by making a black woman hold her wig." And that is the opening shot, you know, hold my wig while I save your people. You know, it was a very strange situation. And then Pepsi released a statement. I'll quickly, you know, so we did not intend to make light of any serious issues. And this is, we don't intend, it's not the intention, it's not the intention. But it keeps happening, you know what I mean? And, you know, this was the famed image of Aisha Evans, who was doing nothing and was detained, arrested. And this image went viral. And it was off the back of this that Pepsi then did that ad. And here is some more, you know. And, you know, a bit more close to my heart, you know, Kobe Bryant. And I was in a few minds about, you know, posting about him as well, because, you know, Kobe was almost like an uncle to a lot of black people in the community. You know, he's, at one stage in my life, was the most amplified, you know, black man I knew. I remember giving speeches in school and using him in my presentation. And his death was so tragic and rocked the whole world. And then again, you know, the BBC played footage of LeBron James in association to Kobe Bryant. And again, it shows you the level of kind of disconnect between someone that is, you know, like a hero to us. And even when they're communicating the news, like it just kind of felt like, you know, well, you know, someone's died kind of thing. And it's like, this is not just someone, like this is someone who a lot of black men grew up looking up to just by way of his mentality and the way he kind of changed the game. And here's a clip of what the BBC did. Oops, sorry, let me go back to that.
Kobe Bryant's daughter Gianna was travelling with him and also died. His list of achievements is long. An all-star, an NBA champion, and an Olympic gold medalist. He was unashamedly competitive, and he was deeply frustrated when his playing career was cut short by injuries.
And, you know, it says James on his fucking back, you know? Checking what type of room I'm in at the same time. But, you know, it's interesting, and Kobe's death has rocked us in a different way and has brought so many people together as well. And I won't dwell on that too much, you know. I would hope his death is creates for a legacy. And if you don't know about him and what he's done, I'd urge you to look into Kobe Bryant. But that was another piece of kind of horrendous footage. And I say here, companies now more than ever have to be more diligent and prudent with the content or information they put out due to the change in media consumption and content distribution since the rise of social media. And here's a really interesting quote I come up with when I was severely depressed and suicidal many years ago. And it reads, "Your belief is subject to your understanding." It goes on to read that the older you are, the more you understand, the less your appetite for belief. The younger you are, the less you understand, the more your ability to believe. And it goes on fuller to read, your information informs your understanding, as does your understanding inform your belief, as does your belief inform your actions. So the idea being to make or to take better informed actions, you must diversify your information intake. Are you all with me so far? Yes. Cool. And more topical to kind of today's event, to create or publish better informed media, you must diversify your information intake. Are you guys with me so far? Yes. Cool. And thus the birth of 56 Black Men. Now, I'm going to be on a panel soon, so I'm going to make this quite quick. And I also note that they gave me 12 minutes on the clock as opposed to 20, but we'll let that slide. But 56 Black Men. It was born out of Drummer Boy Studios, which I'll talk a bit more about when we're on the panel. But again, because of this lack of representation in the media around the black male narrative, it pushed me to give birth to this. And I say here I was tired of the misrepresentation of black men throughout the media and the lack of authentic information surrounding our lived experiences. And why is it that most times I see a black man in the newspaper or media, he's either a victim or perpetrator of knife crime or violence? And I say here, show a black man one image over and over and over and over again, and perhaps that is what he shall become. And this was that image. And what I did with 56 Black Men is I went closer into these images. And if you look at the images at the bottom right, you've got their job title and their achievement. And then you've got this image that we identify with, as a normal thing, but the general gaze is that it's not. And, even internally to the black community, the notion is that, we've almost been conditioned to see our own brothers as our enemies. And so my mission was to change the narrative. And we launched the campaign the day before Christmas. The day after Christmas, we had 1,000 organic followers and 300,000 impressions. It since has toured the globe, receiving coverage from everyone from Al Jazeera to The Guardian to the BBC, and many outlets from different continents around the world. And I say here, the hoodie isn't, the issue isn't just the hoodie. Race plays a really big part in this conversation. And here is a news article that was released last year of a black weatherman in association to his cousin being stabbed. And it reads, "Cousin of TV star killed in stabbing." And I say here, what message does this send to the community when the only time the media outlets want to talk about a black man or want to spotlight a black man is in association to knife crime? Not because he's the only black weatherman I know, but because of knife crime. And I say here, and so we need to combat these images and messages by amplifying the very image that has been used to destroy our narrative as the image that now stands for change in that same narrative. And this was a nationwide billboard campaign that we ran with Clear Channel to do just that. And we held a launch for the campaign in Peckham. And it was this moment that stood out to me where a father came and he brought his whole family, and he said to me, his son, when he came to the launch, he said, "Daddy, are these men dead?" And that was a moment for me where there was another realization in the run through the campaign, where that kid has been so far conditioned to seeing himself represented in a negative light that the first thing that came to his mind when he saw the campaign was that these men had either been a victim or perpetrator. And so I say it's for the next generation, you know what I mean? And this year our focuses are on two things, one being 56 Black Men Live, which is a program that wants to see storytelling and performance arts brought to the stage in a bid to put black men at the forefront in their conversation. And my interest is to take that to places such as the National Theatre and beyond. And here are a few images of what we've done so far. And we recently launched this partnership that we're doing with corporates. And I guess, you know, it's always been a strategy to do things that are going to make us financially viable, but money wasn't always the motive. If I get a moment in the panel to speak on Drummer Boy, you'll understand what I was doing before. Money wasn't the problem before. The problem was the fact that the doors weren't opening and the representation for black men wasn't there. And so when I walk into rooms like this, people don't often expect me to be the speaker. Or when I would walk into boardroom meetings in the city that I sometimes have chaired, you know, we spend 30 minutes waiting for Cephas to arrive. And hey, I am Cephas. Do you know what I mean? But people are expecting that to be the narrative. And so as part of my program that I'm going to be running with corporates, we're interested in really bringing some of these men that are doing amazing things within their organisation to the forefront, but at the same time getting men that don't have access to the corporate world by way of culture and inclusion to have access. Because again, you know, I'm so used to, oh, you know, does he come from a single parent background? You know, is he poor? Blah, blah, blah. And sometimes the disadvantage isn't poverty. Sometimes the disadvantage is access. And so nearing the end of my slide, the ask, and I say, for me, it's to see a 56 Black Men column or series, a partnership that will see major publications and major broadcast companies have a weekly column dedicated to positive news and stories about black men, and a broadcaster ready to support a series that doesn't focus on knife crime, gang life, prisons, or stop and search, but on amplifying positive stories and people in partnership with 56 Black Men. Does that sound like a cool concept to you guys? Yes. Okay. Someone's trying to get a round of applause going. Let's get that going. Let's get that going. It's bloody amazing to see that. I've had, like, you know, for the majority of my lifetime, not really seeing that. So I'll end on this note. You know, would you employ this kid? You remember the question I asked you? You know, looks like he's smoking some type of narcotics. This is that kid. And I think what's interesting about this image is, had you have seen this kid, right, in this state, would you have believed that this guy could be the next Prime Minister, President of the United States of America, or equally the next Prime Minister of Great Britain? And before that, he was a lawyer. You know, and so again, whose brain is this? Who's the most intelligent person in these 6 images? And if that is not, if race is not an issue in 2020, then why are our companies, are our boards not reflective? And I say there, by the end of my presentation, I will have shown you the single most greatest killer of black men, and it won't be a knife, and neither will it be violence. And this is a really famed image, and a quote that says, "The pen is mightier than the sword." And I say here, and so alongside my request to partner with your leaders and leading companies, the next time you write or communicate about black men or the wider black community, or the next time your colleague or chief editor puts a bias or singular narrative forward to be published or commissioned, remember, the pen killed more black men than knife crime or violence ever could. I've been Cephas Williams. Thank you for listening.